I love it when I have a musician in studio. Daniel Weber returns. The last time he was here was for a gig with his band, the Disparrows. They had an album release. Danny, good to see you. How are you, man?
Good to see you too. Thank you very much for having me.
And a lot has happened. The pandemic was miserable for the world at large, but like all musicians, were you holed away in your home studio working on material?
I had a great studio in Los Angeles, so probably around, I think May of, God, this is already 2 years, this is crazy, 2020, May, we took a rescue embassy flight for U.S. citizens, 39 hours, got to Los Angeles, and for 7 months, I spent going to the studio every day.
Wow. And that discipline is important, isn't it? Especially when you're songwriting. I mean, it's very romantic to say, rockers will just roll out of bed and belt a track. But it's more about the mechanics, the hard work, being at it day after day.
Day after day. And also, you have to find motivation everywhere because it's so easy to just be unmotivated and then become uncreative. And then that's becomes the worst in a musician. Then they start churning out stuff that's you're like, ooh, man, that was bad. So thank God I'm still motivated, or I find motivation and inspiration especially, and.
Well, I was telling your lovely wife, I met her for a movie promotion, and I said, the Disparrows is something that I really tripped on. I grew up on classic rock, man. I mean, to me, it's always been about the Bon Jovis, and before that, Lynyrd Skynyrd, and, more recently, Guns N' Roses, and,
great lineup, great bands.
And Metallica, of course, the OGs. The Disparrows is something, for those of you living under a rock, Danny founded along with Grant and the bass player Steven in 2010. So are you guys still together? Or
we still make music.
You still make music together?
Make music, yes.
So 3 albums and still going strong?
Still going strong. We'll do a 4th album at the end of this year. Grant actually was on set while we were shooting the music video for Lose Somebody. So we're in touch probably every other day, all of us.
I mean, all the greats, all the legends have got asked this question. Jagger was asked when he did stuff away from the Rolling Stones. John Bonn was asked when he took a solo path away from Bon Jovi, the band. Why was it necessary to do a Daniel Weber single and album away from the Disparrows?
Not necessary, but we create at a slower speed with the Disparrows because we're all over the place. I'm in India, 10 months a year, and Grant is in LA, and Steven's in Vegas, and we're all doing our own thing. And then when we come together, we focus, we work, and we knock it out after a few weeks, and then we go on tour and whatever it is. But I'm always writing, and I'm always creating, and I'm always playing. So for me, it was like, what will happen to this material? So then the last time I went in with the Disparrows, I had 30 songs, and to present that to them was ridiculous, and I looked absurd. They're like, all right, let us hear one. And I'm like, man, what am I going to do with all these other ones? I really want to do stuff with them. So that's how it started. I said, I have to create, I have to record.
Lovely. You're going to hear us play Lose Somebody. Also, I'd urge you, it released on the 15th, so it's out there. You can go onto YouTube and just do Lose Somebody, Daniel Weber, and the video will come up. It's a wonderful video. Rock music, to me, is going through a bit of a crisis, and I'll tell you why. I was reading somewhere that Gibson was saying that they're selling lesser electric guitars than they ever did.
Yeah, sure.
Factories are shutting down in the US and across the West. It's almost as though when you and me were growing up, Danny, the coolest kids on campus were the guys who pulled out their acoustic guitar and played guitar for the girls.
Yeah.
But now the coolest kids are the guys who open their MacBooks and make electronic dance music. Yeah. You think it's a cycle? You think it's going to come back? How do you view what's happening in the world right now?
I think that everything is cyclical for sure. I don't think it'll ever come back to where 4, 5, 6-piece bands are the focal point of music again. I don't believe that will be the primary source of great music. I think it'll be incorporated sort of, let's say, Imagine Dragons. They sort of do a mix of both. They have backbeats, they have synth, and then they also are playing instruments.
That's a great band you mentioned.
Yeah, when they first came out, people were a little bit definitely unsure because they were sort of like a mix of two entities that was happening.
Yeah, like the rock purists.
Well, exactly. In my head, I almost think of Lemmy. you know, what would Lemmy say if he was alive? He'd be like, what the hell is this? What is that electronic thing in the back? You know, but listen, it all can't be, you know, Ozzy and Motorhead and all that stuff. So, I think that will sort of become the next generation, or already is becoming the next generation. And I think from there, it will evolve into, you still need to be good at an instrument, but the way you become good at it is totally weird today. Kids are like, no, I learned on Guitar Hero, and now I'm a really great guitarist. And I'm like, what? That's how you learned how to play guitar? It's wild.
Yeah, wonderful. So just to cue you guys in, I have the metadata, which is the people who worked on the song. It's lyrics by Daniel Weber, vocals by Danny, guitar by Danny. But I noticed that there are lots of interesting Indian musicians, and I'd like you to talk about them. There's Jigar on the drums.
Amazing. I'm going to stop you here. Jigar, I met. This is pretty wild. So Jigar filled in when the Disparrows came to India for a blues fest up in Kasoli, and our drummer couldn't make it, and randomly we found Jigar from India's Got Talent. He's the drummer from there, and we reached out to him through somebody. He played that show. He was phenomenal, and I've been in touch with him ever since, and every time I'm in the studio doing something, he's my guy.
Awesome. So that's a big shout out to Jigar. Yeah. Then on the piano, on the organ is Vatan. So a little bit about Vatan, please.
Jigar roped him in and said, I think you will like him. Immediately sort of got the vibe. And I probably didn't have to tell him more than 2 or 3 times, like, you know, yes, no, he just understood it. And that's a big thing with musicians. You either sort of get it or you don't.
And I love a thudding bass line in a rock song.
Yes.
Vivian D'Souza on bass.
Also very new to me, was roped in by the other guys, and very quiet, really still to this day can't even tell if he even liked the song or not, but was there, played it, did a great job, had very little editing to do. He's a phenomenal player. He is like a by the book player, which I'm not. I'm a very improv player. I didn't grow up studying music, but I play for 35 years. And, you know, for him, he would be like, you know, tell me the notes and the riff and the run of this. And I'd be like, oh, here we go. Okay. So he liked it like that. So everything he charted out, and still to this day, because he's so quiet and like no expression, I can't even tell you if he even likes the song, but he did a great job.
You know what I like about Lose Somebody, apart from the amazing chorus, the hook line, and of course the lead guitar piece, what I love about it is the fact that it's not overproduced. It's just produced the right amount. You know, sometimes you listen to a song and you know that it's been overproduced.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of gizmos and tech use and things like that. And Jahangir. I like that he would have his first name and his surname saying the same thing.
And that's why he goes by JJ, and everyone in the industry knows him. JJ.
So
he is
big ups to him, man,
huge,
for not overproducing it and just keeping the classic rock feel intact.
And I was very unsure because I never worked with him. Again, he came recommended through Jigar. And my first question always is, hey, do you listen to like American rock and roll, classic rock and roll? Do you get this? We meshed right away. And I told him before that I'd be sending the song to my buddy in Nashville, which is Anthony Fox, to mix and master. Anthony is gold, platinum, records across the wall. Everyone that you can think of, especially solo albums from like the Steven Tylers to, let's say Vince Neil's, like these guys.
Wow.
He's produced, mastered, mixed all of them, probably 300 of them at least. His collection, discography is so unbelievable, especially for someone like you. You'd be like, wow, this is him. So for me, keeping it rock and roll, straightforward, breathing, I had to send it to him because I knew that he would be able to do it. He did it for the last 2 Disparrows albums.
That's lovely. Lose Somebody is obviously a song about losing somebody. But at a deeper level, what does it mean to you when you were writing it? What were you thinking?
I was thinking of it as losing in terms of death, but I think that it also can be construed as losing somebody. It could be a breakup. It could be anything. It could be a friend, a lover, family member. It really could be. It's just about the pain that you feel and that you have to go through that pain. And everyone goes through it at some point. And if you don't go through that pain, then you really just haven't lost anything.
That's deep. I love the video. When you guys go and check out the video, you'll see Danny doing a bit of boxing with this amazing athletic lady. So a little bit about James Thomas, who's your director, and the lovely boxer lady who you're boxing or sparring with.
Okay, James, phenomenal. He did the Disparrows video, Sorry. He's also working on 2 new videos for me now. Don't even know where. I actually met him when he was looking to cast Sunny in a Hollywood project, some horror thriller or something. That's how we originally met, reviewing some other script. And then we stayed in touch. And then he heard on, I think, on like SoundCloud or something, he heard one of the Disparrows songs, and he reached out to me and said, I would love to make a video for this. And that's how he started with Sorry. Then I called him for this song, and he recommended Cree, which was strange because actually we had 2 or 3 boxers lined up, and which was really intimidating because I'm not a boxer, and I was like, whoa, I'm going to look really weird in this video because I'm not a boxer, I don't look like a boxer, and all the other 2 or 3 people were like complete boxer shape women that would like totally kick my ass like easily and look like it too. So then I got on set, and it was actually the day before. He's like, no, I replaced them. I got Cree. She's great. She is an actress, model, athlete, sort of all wrapped in one. And she looks amazing in the video. She was able to, portray what we wanted to, and that's it.
I love that. I mean, diversity and inclusion is where it's at right now. It's wonderful that you got a woman of color.
It's weird. I didn't really think of it like that.
Yeah, I think of these things. Oh. It's very important, man.
Yeah, I know in the U.S. everybody thinks of these things.
Yeah, it's equally true in India. I mean, I feel we're so layered and we're so segregated. It's just wonderful to see you. And if you did that without even thinking of it,
I
ups to you.
I think of like someone who like
that.
looks the part. For me, it's about if you're it and you're the part, I don't care, what you are, who you are, what you do.
Yeah, but she's looking fabulous, and she's done a great job. So big ups on that, as far as you're concerned. Do you still enjoy the small, intimate rock venues? I know it's been a while staying off the gig scene, but how much are you aching to go back into it?
So I consciously stopped playing live as much as I was 3 years ago. I felt that actually for me was not really doing anything great for myself. With the Disparrows, it was fun. We were touring with a lot of fun bands, like crazy guys. Like I think the last tour we did was with Ted Nugent. I don't know, like
oh yeah,
and he was like nuts, like crazy nuts tours, and it was fun. But I just thought that there's like something that happens, like playing live is the greatest thing in the world. There's no doubt about that. But unless your music is out there enough where people are there to respond to it and to want to buy tickets and support you, then it's great. But if you're trying to build that and you are touring support for other great acts, it's amazing for you, don't get me wrong, but it's also not like you sort of know that that's what it is. You're just touring support for somebody else that's great, and you're sort of helping them be greater. Not that Ted Nugent needs my help, or Zakk Wylde or any of those guys that we toured with, but it just wasn't self-fulfilling. The shows were great. For myself, I actually don't like playing these like really small, like 50, 100 person rooms. I hate that. When it's so personable, I perform worse. If there's a bright white light and I can't kind of see that there's maybe 3,000 people, that's better for me. I perform the best.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I completely buy this point. You're not a cover band.
No.
People are not going to come there expecting covers. You need the original material to get out there.
Yeah.
So what's the idea with this? I mean, Lose Somebody comes out. Ultimately, there will be an EP or an album.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
And
we'll
then
keep producing,
you
keep
will
making.
go and tour.
Yes, correct.
To support it eventually.
I will go to support it, and probably, as I just said, like I will probably be in support of somebody, because as a solo career, it's new and it's fresh, and I can't expect to go sell out rooms. So then I need to support somebody else's tour anyway, who's looking for that little bit of extra push or whatnot. So listen, I think everybody has to believe in what they're doing, and sometimes you have to swallow like that it might not be the best situation. Being on the road anyway is not ever the best situation, but being at the show is a great situation. So you sort of have to like take it hand in hand. So yeah, I will go out, tour, support, then get it back with the Disparrows because it's easier to do better shows with the Disparrows.
Sure.
And then incorporate some of this music, if they allow me to, please, into the set.
That's sweet. What do you think of some of the Indian singer-songwriters who are performing in English? Prateek Kuhad is a very interesting singer-songwriter. I don't know if you've heard him.
Don't know his stuff. I don't even listen to the radio for the last 6 months at least.
You feel that adds to your creativity and originality so that you don't listen to anything?
No, I listen to a lot of stuff. In the last 6 months, I have not. I've completely tuned out everything. I'm focused on what I'm doing and producing. If I need to hear something that I remember that I really thoroughly liked, I make notes and then I go, okay, this was something I loved. I want to incorporate something like this or a sound like this or a style like this.
Interesting.
But usually in my writing process, once I'm like in the studio, I'm tuned out because I will get so influenced by what I'm hearing. I could be on the car ride to the studio and I'll come into, let's say, JJ, and I'll be like, dude, we got to do this now. And he'll be like, we're like 90% done with the song. What do you think? Because I get so influenced by really great stuff. I'll be like, why aren't we doing this? This must be like what's in or something.
So people around you have chaos. So it's better you don't listen.
Yeah. So that's better. So I have to stay focused. And then all of a sudden I will get back and I will start listening to, whatever's on the radio. And then I'll be like, wow, this is something really great. So if you have to turn me on to something, you send me a list. Send me a list and I will listen.
Will do. When you're done and dusted with this one completely.
Yes. Otherwise, like JJ and Anthony Fox, they will kill me. Like, dude, you got to get this in there. You see what they're doing? This is cool.
I have so much love and respect for Sunny and yourself as parents. Being parents of 3, that must be an incredible ride and added so much to you as a musician and person.
An incredible ride. That's an interesting way to put it. It is definitely no dull moment. Immense amount of love. I could tell you this, even if you're having the worst day, and maybe you know this as a parent, the greatest thing is to come home to them and they're laughing and smiling because they don't care what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
And then everything is okay. Everything is perfect. And whatever your crappy day was doesn't even matter anymore. So that's the best way that I can sum it all up.
That's beautiful.
And a little bit of chaos.
A little bit of chaos. And I love that, you did so much for displaced people during the pandemic. And the big ups to you, man. I mean, I don't think that Sunny and you get enough credit for all the lovely work that you guys do.
You shouldn't do stuff like
that. I know. I've never seen you go out there and speaking about it. But since you're here by and we've predominantly talked about your music, I'd like you to touch upon that because I think it's a vibrant example for all of us to be compassionate towards each other in this pandemic. I mean, what we've seen has been horrific.
So the second wave Delta variant was like so crazy, obviously in India especially, that I probably have to say that it was probably the first time in my life that I think that I was like depressed seeing what was happening and how hospitals full and lack of oxygen and everything that was going on, and the death toll rising and who knows what the real numbers were and whatever. So I started this just live daily cast of streaming called Stories of Hope, and I wanted to connect with people, anybody and everybody that wanted to reach out and talk about what they were doing for their community, how they were helping, how they can help others, and how people can interconnect with them. And it turned into this crazy web of, people would come on the show and say, hey, you know what? I have 2 tanks of oxygen. I'm in, so-and-so. Here's my phone number. And we'd post it and somebody would call them right away and be like, oh, this was great. Thank you. We really needed it over here. They needed food parcels over here. They needed medicine over here. Oh, I have extra medicine over here. It was so wild to see people interconnect. And it just took this whole thing of Stories of Hope into really just inspirational people that I was able to take inspiration from. Everybody took it from each other, and you sort of realize that in such a bad, terrible, crappy situation that was going on for everybody worldwide, there are such great people. There are warm-hearted, kind human beings in this crazy world that will help each other, not ask for anything, not even need a thank you. They will just do it out of the goodness of their heart. And to know that that still exists is priceless. I think that's humanity. And to see that happening in front of me blew my mind because that's not what I expected it to be. I thought it would just be people telling me stories of what they did, not all of a sudden using it as this like web of connecting. So it's pretty wild.
Good on you. Daniel, can I ask you to play Lose Somebody for us in studio? It'll be lovely.
Sure, we'll do. Tomorrow?
Now! Ladies and gentlemen, it's Daniel Weber with Lose Somebody.
Fell apart, you think that I'm to blame. Call me lonely when you call me, you call me cool and you're in pain. You know that I was never gonna change, that you'll call me insane. Now it's only me in the darkness waiting on you. I'm waiting on you. Sometimes you gotta lose somebody before you ever understand. Sometimes you gotta lose somebody before you feel the pain. We all lose somebody so we can dream of them again. Sometimes you gotta lose somebody just to lose everything. Many years, could you ever love me again? I can't count the tears, but I know I'm drowning. Can you drown from fear? You feel so far, yet I hear you speaking. Hear me breaking, do you hear me dreaming? Now it's only me, and I'm cold and I'm all alone, waiting for you, waiting for you. I'm waiting for you. Sometimes you gotta lose somebody before you ever understand. Sometimes you gotta lose somebody before you feel the pain. We all lose somebody so you can dream of them again. Sometimes you gotta lose somebody just to lose everything. Somebody, won't you come on back to me? Come on back again. Lose somebody.
Sweet. Daniel Weber, thank you for rolling by.
Thank you for having me.
This has been lots of fun. Take care of yourself. Cheers.
Thank you.